All right. I'm gonna go ahead and get you guys going. I'm going to touch on an important topic that I think can have a significant impact in your progression, and it is the holidays. And we want to dive into this and give you some concepts and understanding uh, of what or how to navigate holidays, because many times what we see with the holidays coming up and fitness in general, when we had our brick and mortar, we would always run some type of, we called it holiday holdout, or we've had several names, but what we would do from an accountability standpoint was we'd do weigh-ins, so weekly weigh-ins around the holidays, just to try to keep our clients from, moving up on scale weight. And we did some fundraising and things of that nature over the years. So navigating the holidays for some people can set them back significantly. So I'm going to talk through strategies that you can implement to successfully navigate holidays. The thing, I think one of the biggest things is being aware and really stepping back and seeing how your how you used to navigate it, and was that serving you? Was that getting you closer to your goals or further away from your goals? Really being aware, and just because you've done something a specific way doesn't mean you should repeat it specifically if it's not serving you. So we'll dive into some of that more from a mental standpoint, because many times I'd have the conversation with clients and say, okay, you've always done that. Well, you may want to make a different decision. You can still participate, but how you participate may be different. So navigating the holidays without losing your progress, because many times in coaching clients, I would have my guys or gals progress through the holidays, because some of them have more time off, so they can focus on getting some of the things done they haven't been able to do. Focus on catching up on their sleep cycles, making workouts more of a priority during the holidays. So there's ways to navigate it where you can have a progression and come out in January on top and rolling. Or what we have preached in our brick and mortar is like, hey, and I had some people win through the holidays and drop weight, and I've had other people just maintain, which, hey, if we can get through the holidays without reverting and we're staying on task with most things, obviously as a coach, we're going to try to challenge you to say you can always maneuver the holidays and still see the results you desire. It's just what are you willing to do to get there, or stay on task to get there. So with that said, here's the trap, and this is data we see the average person can gain, and this varies because obviously you do a Google search, it's going to give you some variances on this. Anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And then why? Why does that happen? Frequent celebrations, alcohol, sweets, less structure, more stress, because holidays can be stressful. I understand. It is how you cope and how's your response to stress. If you're using food and alcohol to cope with your stress, then yeah, you may um, have to make different decisions, and understand controlling your state is going to be very important for you. So, and then all or nothing mindset. Oh, I can't participate at all. Well, you can, and you can participate in activities and things, which I'll touch on here. You just may have to make better decisions when you're in those situations. And then a lot of times I see this happen as well. I'll just wait till January, fresh start. Well, if you put 5 to 10 pounds on from Thanksgiving and New Year's, it's going to take you, uh, let me say this. It's a lot easier to put weight on than it is to take it off. It is what it is. It's always going to be that way. So, because you can consume a lot more calories than you anticipate just based upon the food they make. So your calorie density can be very high with with the food consumption over the holidays to put weight on, and it's going to take you 2 or 3 months to get it back down to where your starting point. So what I'm saying there is you don't want to start over in January. Starting over every or even that mindset can set you back, and it's discouraging, which we don't want to have. Now, frequent celebrations, what we see with that is it doesn't give you a free pass to do all the things you used to do, because maybe the things you used to do got you in the situation you're in. What I'm saying there is, your actions towards consumption of food. What does that look like? How many calories you're consuming? Are you focus on your sleep, stress management? Are you consistently getting your workouts in? So there's ways to counterbalance that and change, because now you're on this journey, and this is the journey that this is a time and journey you're going to win and win for good. So you want to really reframe, and you're going to hear me talk about reframing a lot, because reframing is very important, because a lot of times we may be unaware of situations. So and language patterns and thought processes in specific situations. So if you can evaluate it, look at it from a different lens and reframe some of the language patterns and thought process around the situation, you're going to have more control, because you can control the outcome. You don't need perfection. You've heard me talk about this a lot. You need awareness and understanding of how to navigate situations, what's going to be most impactful for you, or how can you get through certain situations and still move the needle forward. So when I look at the holidays, success is staying consistent, 80% of the time. You got to choose which components that you're willing to do and willing to build in within your lifestyle and your holidays, to make sure that you're going to navigate them on top. You can enjoy the season and still stay aligned with your goals. You can. Uh, we do it all the time, and we, from our standpoint, sometimes the holidays is more of a busy time from a business standpoint. So, a lot of times we're very busy through the holidays. So, we have to stay on task to make sure we're staying on top of our fitness and our routines, because of how busy we may get. And you want to really look at the structure of these next 2 months. What does it look like? And hopefully, you've already removed all the Halloween candy out of the house, and you can go give it to your neighbor or something. That's what we do. But anyway, you want to really look and plan ahead. What does it look like for these next 2 months, all the way up to the end of the year? What are your obligations? Where in the past have you been in a situation where you weren't very successful? What does that look like? So really identify those areas that maybe have set you back in the past, and we would want to really understand a game plan to go into that situation where you can maneuver it and either be break even or be ahead, instead of having it set you back. So you want to really try to identify, two to three key events, obviously, to fully enjoy. What does that look like for you? Can you stay within your boundaries and come out on the other side? I would say, if it's one or two situations where you overconsumed in whatever format that looks like for you, as long as you stay structured in the other events, what I'm saying there is you getting your steps in, focus on your sleep, managing your stress, fueling your body with, better nutrition. It's not going to set you back very far. It's the combination of consistently over consuming or consistently not being on task and falling off completely, or a whole week, or 2 weeks. That's where I see people, it's typically not one or two events. It's multiple days, and/or it's a consistent pattern that, hey, I have sweets home. I'm consistently overeating multiple days in a row. That's where people typically get in trouble, because you can make up for two to three situations within, that month. You can't make it's harder to make up a whole week. You can. It's just going to take you multiple weeks to make up for that. So stay structured on event days as much as possible, and on your routine, because the routine is important. You can also do, obviously, plan, grocery list, meal prep, get the things done that you need to get done, or have the food available or better options for you, specifically when you start getting into the holiday framework of parties and having people over and things of that nature. So here's how you can navigate with from a nutrition standpoint. Think of this when you do go to, holiday parties, and are going to have, you know, eat dinner outside of your norm or certain situations. Maybe it's at a restaurant, maybe it's at someone's house. You want to always start with the protein and fiber. If you can get those two in, it's going to get you moving in the right direction. Obviously, stay hydrated is another one. And try not to skip meals going up into that unless you have the ability to not overconsume. Some people do, some people don't. So you got to know yourself from that standpoint. A lot of times, I mean, I can navigate situations where I restrict all the way up until I go to the event. Some people can't do that. Some people they just overconsume. So understand where your boundaries are with that, and make it work for you. Protein and veggies first at the gathering. Try to go after that. Sometimes when you go to some of these holiday parties or holiday situations, they have all the carbohydrates out everywhere. So if you can navigate around those and more go out after the fibers, veggies, things like that first, I would go that direction and try to minimize, um, the simple sugars right off. Then we think about, and this affects some people. Some people that some people it's not a problem, not inside their wheelhouse, and that's awesome. Some people this is the thing that kind of sets them back is alcohol consumption. If you can manage this through the holidays, or if it's not a problem, great, awesome. You just want to be aware of the other sweets and drinks around if it's not alcohol, right? So this goes with alcohol and or drinks that are heavy calorie and or sweets. I get into sweets and things a little bit later, but one to two, 1 to 3 drinks max. You can choose options that are lower in calories. Vodka slash soda, tequila, lime, dry wine. There's ways to keep it in a better calorie range. Um, alternate with water. So try to keep yourself hydrated as much as possible. And really try to avoid some of the sugary mixers because, man, they can punch those calories up pretty high. And again, outside of alcohol, you want to really be aware of the different drinks, holiday drinks that are just loaded with sugar and calories. Now you can get into some of the coffees and things of that nature that do that as well. So just be more mindful of any fluid consumption that's going to punch your calories high. Sweet cravings, this is going to be different for every person, and you may use different mechanisms to manage this, but ideally, you want to, pick 1 to 2 desserts. Uh, you can do this 3 bite rule where, hey, 3 bites, move on. It's going to take a little bit of discipline, but that's what we when we're going down a health journey, we have to build discipline within our lifestyle. Taste, enjoy, move on. We don't have to eat everything or overconsume. You can take some bites and then move on to the next. And the other thing that I see people make mistakes with is if you have leftovers and it's not um, within your what you should be consuming. What I'm saying there is if it's higher in calories, sweets, things of that nature. If it's something that it's going to set you back or you have a harder time saying no to, you may want to move that on. If you're, doing the cooking, I'll give you an example here. A lot of times, if we do birthday cakes or if we have certain celebrations and we do have extra sweets, we typically send them home with somebody else. We'll keep a little bit for the kids, but we don't keep a lot. A, it's not going to serve us, and B, it's the kids don't need that much sugar, but so we have to manage that. So we'll ship them out. And you can also skip taking some of those leftovers home with you that are not going to be, um, you know, serving you and moving in the right direction. Now, I will say when you're eating out, typically you can maneuver, a lot of these other, a lot of restaurants are doing a better job with some of the desserts. So they'll make them smaller portions and that's going to be good. If they're bigger portions, what you want to do is split it and or obviously take a couple bites and not finish it and be okay with it. So that way you just don't punch your calories up too high. Because a lot of times what happens specifically with sugary substances or things that are made this way in sweets, once you consume them, it's like that dopamine hit. You want to go back right after them. Boom, boom, boom. And then that's when people overconsume because they start craving them. Again, some of the non-negotiables you want to have in there, through the holidays. Are you staying in task with your steps? Make it a routine of going out and walking with family post meal if the weather's decent and or planning something around activity. Here in Indiana, it may not be great weather like it is today. It's 36 degrees out and it's awful. But you can plan things to, activities, things that are going to get you moving around, which is always going to be a plus. Now, if you if you know your time's crunched through the weeks, we have the ability to give you guys different circuits, different complexes that you can do fairly quickly, 20, 30 minutes, less than that, and some of them, and still get the stimulus to the muscle to make sure you're staying on task to get your routine in from a resistance standpoint. So I think it's very, very important to stay on routine as much as possible because that's your routine. That's your sacred time, and that's the time you want to protect because you're taking care of yourself. So but there's other ways to really still stay on task and not take up a lot of time, specifically if you have guests and or you're going to be traveling, things of that nature. So other thing that you want to focus on, and again, some of the non-negotiables, or you manage them as well as you can through this time, stress, sleep are going to be important because stress can drive, obviously, how you respond to stress can drive your cravings and can drive your response to food, can drive your response to alcohol or coping with that stress mechanism. Many times the stress is created, right? So a lot of times we if you would look at the situation and really evaluate it and say, should I be really stressed out about the situation? Is it going to be harmful? Is my life in danger? A lot of times it's not. So okay, let's look at it from a different lens. Yes, it's going to get a little bit crazy, but I've done this before. I navigated this before. Control your state. You have 100% control of your actions and how you respond to those situations. So again, driving controlling stress is important. And it's okay to set social boundaries. It's okay to say no sometimes, or decide to leave the situation a little bit earlier than you have in the past. So that's important because it gives you more control, and that doesn't mean you're a bad person at all. It means that you have other expectations and goals that you want to accomplish, and saying no sometimes is important. If you can keep on some type of good sleep routine now, what I have seen with individuals is maybe they mess up their sleep patterns because they're off work. And I've worked with healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, teachers, in different categories where I see sleep patterns change a lot, specifically if they work in overnight situations in long extended hours. Once they get off for an extended period of time, I see them get into a bad sleep cycle. What I'm saying there is they may stay up too late. They may not wake up on early enough. That's not necessarily the greatest thing either, unless you're sleep deprived a lot. You obviously want to try to get caught up a little bit, but you're going to knock out your circadian rhythm. And specifically, like I was working with teachers this past summer, and I was like, hey, you want to get to bed and you want to get up. And if you can stay on that circadian rhythm, it's going to help with your sleep and your quality of sleep. because once we get out of that routine, it's hard to get back into that sleep cycle, and it throws your body off. And then the quality of sleep suffers. You're tired. You start over consuming carbs, sweets. You're chasing energy. So you can use these techniques, grounding. If you haven't done what grounding is, it's getting outside barefoot. Um, and it does work. They do have grounding mats too, so that you can purchase and stand on them or have them at your desk. And then breathing. Again, if you guys have more questions about breathing, what that looks like, I've done, and so has Aaron, but I've done a little bit more work in the breathing, the Wim Hof exposure, and there's a lot of breathing components to that. And I've done a lot more work in the breathing patterns to control your central nervous system. So that's a tool that we have. It's built in. It's practice just like anything else. And this is going to be common. This thing doesn't change as far as the anchors when you're in situations. Protein first, veggies, fruits, hydration. If you can, check, 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 that's going to help hit the marker points. So say, we're in a holiday or a party, right? And a dinner, we get our good protein in, we get our veggies, fruits, we're hydrated. Now we have, some dessert, a glass of wine, we're going to be okay. Okay. And you may be a higher calorie that day, but again, if you get the foundation in, it's going to satisfy you. So always remember you have 100% control. And this is another thing I see is like individuals, their mind goes, uh, you know, punishment. Oh, I failed. Oh, I wasn't very good. That's all feedback. Okay. What could I have done better navigating? Where did I mess up? Next time I'm in this situation, what decisions can I make? But you also want to try to stay in some type of rhythmic routine. And I talked about that with the sleep, but just in general, because that's going to keep you in patterns. And post holiday, if you can do this as quick as possible, return to your normal rhythmic pattern. Did you get your steps in? Are you hitting your protein? Are you getting your sleep? You manage your stress? Are you hitting your workouts? Because the sooner you do that, you you, we are creatures of habit, and our bodies like that consistency. So try to get right back into to the routine if you get knocked off, or if you travel for a few days out of your environment. This is important to do. Again, you don't want to beat yourself up. It's just, hey, recalibrate. Let's get back on the schedule. Let's keep this thing moving. Make sure your workouts are scheduled, reflect, and adjust. It's again, it's not about a pity party and or I always do it this way. It's here's how I do it now. Here's how I show up. Here's what I'm going to do. You can navigate the season, stay in control. It's going to be alignment with where you want to go and what are your specific goals. They got to be strong. They got to pull you that direction. And you may have to make different decisions than you had in the past. And that's okay because this is who you are now. So, and it's not restriction. You can still enjoy, like I said, you can have two or three, situations where you're over calorie and you've consumed some of the things outside your norm. You enjoyed yourself, had a good time, family, things of that nature. As long as you can try to keep some of the other components within alignment, it's going to be important. And then it's going to be all feedback. Okay, hey, it was this many days. I'm back on. The scale's up a little bit. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to refocus and get right back on it. It's when we allow some of those things to linger within our environment and or linger within our actions. When 2 or 3 days go into 4 or 5 days, five to six, 6 to 7, and then we have that that voice in the back of the head. Oh, I'm just gonna, take another week off. That's when people get in trouble. So we got to have some type of structure and discipline within our schedule to make sure we're hitting some of these tasks and staying on with some of these tasks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and then I'll talk a little bit more of what we typically do, and we will, obviously we do we'll enjoy the holidays. We'll have the foods and things, but then we stay on schedule with other components. I always try to get my workouts in. If we travel, what I'll do is I'll build my workouts around the travel, or if we're gone for an extended period of time, we'll do some type of workout when we're on the road. I think that's one of the foundational components that keeps the balance. And then being aware of not over consuming, have a good time and understand, hey, I might be over calories this day, but if as long as I get back on some type of routine in the next day or two, I'll be fine. That's more about what will keep people moving in the right direction. It's when they get off and then that voice in their head says, "Oh, I'll just take another couple days off." Well, that starts compounding. But those are, the things I went through is we can navigate the holidays and be okay. And it manage some of the components with less stress because a lot of times we create some of the stress that we really don't have to. Maybe it's just ingrained in us or it's a program we run that hey, the holidays have to be this way. So another thing, and if we'll share, I know Erin has shared to multiple of her clients. I'm going to share it over to my guys as well. We have some recipes and things that we share that they're healthier options that still taste good. So you still can have healthy options that taste really good during the holiday and stay within some of the calorie ranges. So there's different holiday recipes that we'll share over in a PDF that Aaron put together. Some of them are some of the meals that we've used or we have or she, I should say, has made over the years during holiday times. So with that said, I'm trying to think. Oh, the other topic that I want to hit on, and this is a thing that I see, and this is a conversation I have with some of my guys as well. If we're going to look at total calories and protein goal, because this is a topic that comes up a lot, I would rather have you stay under your calories than hit your protein goal, because that is going to be more important, specifically if you're in that fat loss phase and or weight loss phase. I should say fat loss because that's what we're going after based upon how we set you guys up. It's more important to stay under calorie than hit your protein goal. As long as your protein's close enough, we're good enough. Because if we can stay in that calorie deficit multiple days, the needle is going to continue to move. If the protein's high enough, we have the amino acids, we're getting enough fuel to stabilize your insulin to allow your body to utilize fat as a fuel source, so fat oxidation. So always remember that. I know we get that question quite often. Look at it from we would rather have you be under calories, stick with it. And if your protein goes significantly low, we will communicate that. Because if it's significantly low and you're under calories for multiple days, then we're going to get in trouble a little bit because we're not getting enough nutrients again to stabilize your insulin, get your sensation of being full, get the nutrients we need for muscle recovery. That's when we start getting in trouble. Okay. So just remember that as a note because it takes multiple days to be under calorie and under protein. You will start utilizing protein as a fuel source. So your body will start catabolizing itself. So it takes a couple days for that to happen, but it can happen, but we would have to be under calories, under protein, under nutrient. Then your body will start utilizing some of the fuel sources. Most people don't get into that phase. Now you can with the GLP-1 because it tamps down the hunger response and it actually kicks in fat oxidation. Uh, most people struggle to get into that range because the hunger component will kick in and you'll start having so much hunger response that you'll overconsume to push yourself back up if it's in a within a 5 to 7 day period. So that just gives us some thought process to go to answer some questions because I know we've gotten that question a couple different times. And again, I would rather have you guys under calories. Again, If your protein's too low, then we're going to be in trouble if it's extended period of time and under calorie, those two combinations, because it just doesn't create a good environment for fat oxidation, because how the system will work. So, with that said, I will. Is there any other questions or things that I can answer for you guys? All good. Well, so what I'll do is share the guide over, um, and I think it's recipe healthy recipe guide. It has uh, a couple different recipes that we've used over the year that Aaron has put together. I know over the years we've had a couple different ones. I think I have one from, and I'll share this as well. One from the gym that was um, I think it was associated with cocktails, and that may be a summer one. Let me look at that, and I'll share it. I'll let you guys know. So hopefully this helps. The holidays we can win them. We can come out on the other side and be okay. We do have to stay in some type of routine. I would recommend. Obviously, you have more control than you give yourself credit because you do. You may have to evaluate and step back and plan, and that's important. And it is okay to say no sometimes as well. If it's going to set you back too far, I've done that before in the past and kind of it was picking and choosing of um, where we were going to go or what we were going to do during the holiday, just to kind of protect our environment. And that's up to you and what works for you. But sometimes it's okay to um, say no and go a different direction or choose which direction you want to go or what environment is going to be the best for you and your goals. So let me know if you have any other questions and I'll share this stuff over and we'll keep you guys moving.